Coming up is part 1 of the course from makethattrack.com. As a member of our website, you get access to all the links, presets, samples and loops, and also project files, including MIDI, for all the tutorials on the site. Enjoy this free tutorial and be sure to check us out at makethattrack.com.
Hey guys, welcome to video 1. As with any good dance song, it's always a great idea to start off with your drums. So that's what we're going to be doing here in video 1. So first things first, we're going to be setting up a drum rack and getting some kicks and snaps and claps going in there. So what I have here is I just have a blank MIDI track set up here and then a collection of empty audio tracks which we'll be using afterwards. So in the MIDI track, I'm going to just have that selected. We're going to be going over to instruments over here on the left in the menu, and we're just going to drag the drum rack right onto the track. As you can see, it's going to pop up down here at the bottom. So now what we want to do is we want to fill up these pads here in the middle with different drum sounds. So let's go into current project here. So we can see I have all the samples sorted. So we're going to jump into drum rack here to this folder. And let's grab a kick, load that onto this pad, get our claps on the next one, snaps right, and for a fill we're going to be using this snare right here, the snare layer. Okay, so now that we have our drum rack loaded, we can hit the play button here on any of these sounds. And we'll be able to play our drum rack. And if you have a MIDI keyboard or controller set up, you'll be able to play the notes that these are assigned to. As you can see here, this block is F1. So if I had something assigned to this pad, you could hit F1 on your keyboard and it would play that sound. So next we're going to be creating a little bit of a MIDI pattern here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this section here and I'm going to hit Control or Command, Shift, and M all at the same time. And that's going to create a MIDI clip here. So now we're going to double click on that and you'll see the bottom changes over to this piano roll here and it'll tell us which instruments here on the left we can put notes into. So first things first, we're going to want to set up our kick. So if I double click anywhere on here, it's going to create a note for the kick. So now I can play that. And now we have our kick. So I'm just going to drag this over to each beat. Perfect. Now we're going to be setting up our snaps. We're going to have that on every second beat. So I'm going to write in both of our snaps here, and then I'm going to hold Control as they're highlighted and click and drag to copy them over to the next second beat. All right, now let's get a clap in there. So I'm going to click on this snap and just Control or Command and drag downwards. Now I have a note on the clap. And if you don't want to copy notes, you can always double click to add more notes. And for this clap, if you listen, it's a little late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click it. And while I'm holding down the click, I'm going to press Alt and hold Alt, and that'll let me bypass the grid here so that I can slide it anywhere around. If I wasn't holding Alt and I tried to drag this, it would just snap over to the next grid part. So we don't want that. So we're going to hold Alt while we drag, so I can just drag it a little bit to the left. And that'll keep it in time with the rest of our drums. So I'm going to do the same thing for over here. As you can see, since it's already been offset on this note, Live will remember that. And when I drag it over to the next part here, it'll automatically snap it to the offset I had it set to. Okay, so now we have our basic beat, and we're going to repeat this every 4 beats. So since I have 4 bars drawn out here, I can shorten the length here down in the bottom on the clip menu. Bring this down to just 1, so that'll just be 1 bar. And now when I drag it out on the clip, you'll see it repeats. So we got rid of all that empty space. Okay, now to get back to our drum rack view, double click on the track over here, and we'll bring that back up. And I already have the volumes figured out for each layer, so I'm just going to go ahead and set those now. So kick I have set to 0 dB. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here into the actual sound of the kick, and this volume slider, we're going to go ahead and drag that up to 0. And we're going to do the same thing for the rest of these. So claps I have set to -10. Snap left will be 1 dB. And these don't have to be exact. Okay, snap right I have set to -1. And then our light snare is going to be about -5. Okay, great. Now we can drag this out for as long as we want. We're probably going to want to cover a long area here just to start off with. And we're going to want to have somewhat of a fill so that this doesn't get too repetitive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over into our folders, and I'm going to go into the MIDI folder, and I'm going to drag drum fill onto this track here. I'm going to have it play every 8 bars. So I'll have it set to the 8. It's going to ask me if I want to import tempo and time signature data. I'm going to hit no because we want to stay with our current settings. And then I'm going to drag this also to beat 16, or bar 16, bar 24, and so on, every 8 bars. So now we have okay, now you see the problem is the MIDI is set to the wrong notes. So this here is supposed to be snare light. So what we're going to do is just drag these notes up. And snap right is clearly the clap. As you can see, it has the offset. So we're going to click on the piano here to select all notes in that lane. Drag that down to claps. And it will replace it. And then we'll just do the same for snap left and make a copy upwards to snap right. So now all the MIDI should be in the right place. Let's take a listen. And there we have it. Okay, next we're going to be importing some audio clips here, starting with our hi-hats. So here I have hi-hat open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to our samples folder, into the hi-hats folder, and we're going to match the sample with the track name. So hi-hat open. I have open hat 1. So I'm going to drag that. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to have it on every offbeat, or upbeat rather. So in between beats 1 and 2, in between beats 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and so on. So now we're going to have this. Okay. And a faster way to do this would be to select all 4 and hit Control D to duplicate. And now I can select a wider range and duplicate again. And again. And again until we have as many as our current drum loop. Okay, next we have our hi-hat closed right. So closed hat right. Now this is going to be an audio loop. As you can see, we don't just have one sample in here, we have a repeated sample. And we're going to want this to loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on it so that it shows up here in the bottom. And we're going to just activate this loop setting here. Now I can drag it and it will loop And I can drag it as far as I want to. And that's that. Okay, now we have a couple tambourines we're going to be dragging in here. So first our tambourine on the right. So I'm going to go into other percussion, tambourine right. I'm going to use this to give the second beat a little bit of brightness. So we're going to do that for every second beat. And we can do the same tactic as before to duplicate. Okay, and now we're going to do the same for tambourine left. So let's open that. Tambourine left. Duplicate. Remember, this is Control or Command and D. Okay, now we have 3 more extra hats we're going to use here to give our rhythm a little bit of spice. So if we take a quick listen to it right now, it's a little basic. So in order to give it a little bit of swing and a little bit of interest, we're going to add our next 3 hats here. So we have hi-hat, closed, right, 2. Closed hat, right, 2. I'm going to drag that in. Let's open that track up. As you can see, I've already spaced it out so that it hits where I want it to. If I drag that to the beginning. Okay, so if we create a couple more of these, we'll get an idea of how it spices up the rhythm. Okay, and the same idea for our next 2 hats. So we have hi-hat closed left, closed hat left. Okay, and then we have hi-hat closed center, hi-hat closed center. And as you can see, if I zoom in, none of these are on a particular beat, the upbeat or the downbeat. They're just sort of in offset locations to sort of give our rhythm a little more life and a little bit more of an interesting sound. Okay, and lastly, we're just going to add one more sample here. So to create a new track, what I did was I clicked the track above where I wanted the track to appear and pressed Control or Command and T. And you can also right-click and choose Insert Audio Track. So now I have an extra track. I'm going to call this Metallic. And I'm going to drag Metallic Perk from our samples down here. I'm going to play this just at the end of every 4 bars on where the snaps hit. What this is going to do is just add a little bit of variation to the end of every 4 bars. Okay, so lastly, we'll just need to duplicate all of these. And because I was cutting this off when I duplicated it, we're just going to want to delete the extra piece there and just drag it out again. Okay, and that about covers the basics of the drums. And in video 2, we're going to be taking a look at some instruments and getting some instruments into our mix.
We hope you've enjoyed part 1 of this course. To continue, please go to the website and select a membership to suit your needs. Welcome to MakeThatTrack.com. At Make That Track, we provide everything you need to make your favourite style of music from start to finish. Our Getting Started series will show a complete beginner where to start and what they need to do to start making music out of the box. Once the basics are grasped, you can learn how to make the genre of your choice with everything that you need in the process. Want to know how to make that elusive sound from your favourite producer's tracks? Check out our How to Make That Sound tutorials. We take the guesswork out and show you exactly what you need to do to get that sound within a few simple steps. With tips on arrangement, mixing, mastering and effects, you'll have everything you need to prepare your tracks to send to a record label and to play in the clubs. Get everything you need to make the music you love today.